Thank you. Really excited to be here. Thank you to Sam and Lynn. This is a thrill. And I want to tell you guys tonight in my 7 minutes about a secret that's right here in Vancouver. I'm going to tell you a little bit about where music is going, and I'm going to brag about having the best media job in the city for it. So I've got a lot to do in 7 minutes, so I'm going to dive in. So just a block from here, the big concrete bunker that's the CBC building, down on this secret floor called the T floor. It's like a dark cave deep in the bowels. There's a group of people who are working on solving one problem. And it came to us from a guy named Don Tapscott, who's a really smart Canadian author. He wrote Wikinomics and Macroeconomics. And he came into CBC and he told us a couple of scary things. He asked us a bunch of scary questions, actually. He said things like, why didn't Sony Music invent iTunes? Why didn't NBC invent YouTube? Why didn't Kodak invent Flickr? Why didn't Encyclopedia Britannica invent Wikipedia? And it got us thinking about what our job was at CBC for it, and our team's goal is to figure out what radio is going to fail to invent. That's all we do. So I'm going to take you into kind of some of our thinking around how we approach this problem, and I'm going to start a little bit talking about broadcasting. And CBC's core business for a long time has been radio and TV and reaching mainstream audiences. So it's designed for big audiences. The problem with designing for mainstream audiences is that you create things that when you start about your decisions about what you're going to make, you have to start thinking about things that appeal to everybody or a large number of people. That's what success means, and that's what relevance means, is you have one TV signal for the whole country, a lot of people have to like it, or you're a failure. I like stuff that appeals to everybody, but I love stuff that is just for me, because the things that I like, maybe not everybody in this room is going to like, but we might, there's a horrible example, I use it too often, but lots of people like 2.5 Men. It may not be the favorite thing that changes your life. On the internet, niches matter, because that's where people can make things very quickly and cheaply and easily that are things that I love. It doesn't have to be something that tons and tons of people love to be able to justify making a broadcast system to reach out across the country for it. So the rise of being able to choose things that you love and not have to watch things that you like is where digital media comes in. And that's where we have to start exploring where our mainstream distribution method, radio, is failing to meet the needs of music fans for it. So radio is really good at a lot of things. It helps curate things. It helps us discover new music. We have hosts that introduce you to music. Everybody listens to it at the same time. There's a shared listening experience. But there's a bunch of stuff that it doesn't do all that well. Everyone gets the same thing. I can't get my stream of music from the radio for it. That's the music that I like. When a song I hate comes on, I can't do anything about it except change channels. I can't play my favorite music whenever I want. I have to wait for people who run radio stations to decide to play the song again, which might be hours, it might be days. Sometimes in the case of CBC, it might be months. When I'm listening to the radio, apart from picking up a phone or texting somebody or using Twitter, I can't really tell people about the music that I like that's going on right now. Mostly by the time they go in and check in, it's going to be gone and done. And there's an interesting one. I can't meet other people who like the same music as me. So it's a bit different, because when you're listening to kind of mainstream stuff, classic rock or something like that, there's lots of people who like classic rock. It's not a problem to find people who like Led Zeppelin. But when you get into the stuff that you really, really love that maybe you and a few friends love, it's harder to find more people like that. And radio doesn't help us. We can't see who else is listening with us. Out on the digital side of things, there's tons and tons of companies that are trying to figure out music on the internet. These are a few of the services up here. There's lots of them. You probably haven't heard of them. But basically, they offer the same thing. Unlimited music, anytime you want, anywhere you want, on any device you want. 15 million songs at your fingertips all the time. And the interesting thing is if you're a really super fan, like you really love music, this is the best thing that's ever been invented, because you can go through and spend hours looking at every piece of new music that's out there. But it's not great for casual music fans because you have to do a lot of work. I don't know what's new, I don't know what's good. I have to go through and spend a lot of time trying to find music to listen to. So what we've tried to come up with is somewhere between the old and the new, taking the good stuff, the curation, the programming, the things where we can help introduce you to good music mixes, and the new stuff on the digital side that lets people meet each other and be able to have more personalization options in it. And it's called CBC Music. So this is I'm not going to do a big product wank on this, but it's less work. It allows you to do a lot of stuff that the radio doesn't let you do, but it's easy to use if you're not a music nerd for it. So instead of having to go through 15 million songs, you can go through 45 web radio stations, but then you click and you just get good music out of it. You get to be in control, but you don't have to do all of the work. And hopefully it's easy to use. And I think this is where we're going to find a lot of services going outside of music as well. Make it really, really easy, but not do a lot of work to get it. We also have tried to figure out, and we're not there yet with this, but trying to figure out how to serve more niches in ways that are underserved by the media. So we've created 14 different music communities from a whole bunch of different genres. If you love classical music, there's a place that does nothing but classical music. If you like hip hop or jazz or world, there are places where that's all that they do for it. That is the goal, to try and get people who like it to come in and meet each other and hang out and celebrate that type of music in a way that, again, you can't do at all on the radio for it. I think the really interesting thing about this, sorry, my little changer isn't going here, is that when we build successful communities, and we built one here in Vancouver called Radio 3, that kind of was the genesis of CBC Music, it really builds an online community that is like nothing you've ever seen, because when you get someone who's delivering something you love that you can't get anywhere else, you become really loyal and really passionate, and you come back over and over again, and you take ownership in that community for it. And we have a group of fans in Vancouver. They're called the YVR3 for Radio 3, and they talk to each other online every day, and then they meet up and go to concerts. They go to festivals. They wear clothing. They do all sorts of things. They go travel across the country and stay in each other's houses. It's amazing. And this is the sort of stuff where I think what we're learning in our little secret lab, and what I hope more people are going to be able to do in other areas, are find the right mix of active and passive experiences, give people more choice in what they're doing, and super serve the niches for it. And the last piece I want to talk about, because I've run out of time already, is why I have the best job in the world out of it. I'm going to skip through this, just letting you know that it's actually working, which was kind of surprising for us that a lab actually made something popular at CBC here in Vancouver, which is exciting. But we're doing more with less in the digital space in a really big way. We're aggregating niches, and that's creating a big enough audience. If you target one niche, it's not a lot. When you get a lot of niches and people come in and do it, it actually turns into a pretty significant audience for it. And the audiences are really passionate fans. Really passionate. Quick note, this was in a restaurant. I was wearing a CBC shirt. The guy rolled up his sleeve and said, "Check it out." That's how I just like, that's not even one of our staff. But the best thing is that our lab here in Vancouver is a niche in itself, is that we're doing stuff that the rest of the media industry isn't doing, and the people who work with us are getting to do jobs that you can't do in the rest of the media. We're experimenting and kind of super serving our staff by giving them the ability to play around and experiment and try and figure out what works in this space. So they're super loyal, and they're super talented, and really passionate about their jobs. And that's an awesome thing about Vancouver that doesn't exist in Toronto, which distinguishes us here. And that's why I have the best media job in Vancouver. Thank you.